Hello, Wake Up New Zealand, Karasaki speaking. Well, more and more failures are coming out. There's non-transparent government, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming out in the future weeks and couple of months to come leading up to the election. So I was asked the other day what I thought the biggest failure of this government was, but I couldn't help but say, I didn't even have to think about it. It was the way they they insensitively stayed in that political cesspit of Wellington while people grieving outside that were doing the sit in the parliamentary grounds, those had been jabbed home, those had lost loved ones, those that had been mandated out of jobs, those that had lost jobs. Not one of them came out to those people. And the way the police actually treated those people horrific, just re-victimizing them all the time. And that saddens me. To me, every one of those political cronies in the cesspit of Wellington failed New Zealanders, and that is number one. And I shall never forget it. Many people will never forget it. It will go down in history as one of the saddest moments. We do need to drain the swamp. The other is the hate speech thing, the censorship, and it's been enormous. We haven't been able to discuss things openly, and the shutting us down and silence is consent. So if you're not speaking it out, or you're stopped from speaking out, you actually give them consent to actually uh, control you. To control you from stopping you from speaking out, control you to be obedient to the state, to do as you are told, stay locked inside, don't go in that area, don't go to a friend's toilet, etc., etc., etc. I cannot believe that people actually obeyed this, because for some people to be they believe they're good citizens if they obey the government, even if the government is cruel to them and cause them harm. They think as long as they obey the government, they are good citizens. And I find that terribly, terribly sad. And I don't look on people who've been jabbed as something, people to be ignored or people to be put down. I actually feel quite sad for them. Those behind masks, I mean, psychologically, they must be harmed. So, no, that's the damage that this government have done to the people. We are losing all these doctors and nurses that have gone overseas. They've been mandated out of jobs. And anyone who speaks out, whether it's about climate alarmism, whether it's about the jabs or about transgender, any of those things, the government shuts them down and they are seriously character assassinated. Yes, I agree with Abiy Yamini when he wore his T-shirt that said, Ora North Korea. People go about their way, they go do their shopping and live as normally as they can. Like, I think people have false insecurity, a lot of people, and that's really worrying. So it's got to the stage where someone might say on social media, here's the next pandemic coming, and here's the new jabs. And you go, well, wait a minute, do I believe that? Are they just trying to cause more fear through all the fear mongering? I was looking at the UN that announced global boiling, and I laughed my head off. So I decided to do some research around that. And I found that they had used the old hockey stick graph that had been actually uh, determined to be very flawed by the National Academy of Science, and was actually taken through like a court process to prove that Michael Mann's hockey stick graph was flawed. But what they did this time, 2021, IPCC, they actually did the graph, but what they did was they missed out the middle age warming period and the little ice age. They cherry picked, and there they had what they said was a global boiling. So liars count their pants on fires. We know that they're lying. They know we know they're lying, but they keep on damn well lying, don't they? And this is what our government's doing. So their National Adaptation Plan for Climate Change, and they talk about the seas rising. Well, if you look further into that and you looked at the real scientists, you would see that the sea rises up, it goes down, and the reasons for it, and the oceans warming, and the huge, that huge volcano in Tonga. More recently, what that did, and the volcanoes under the water. I can't believe it. That volcano, Tonga, again, the water shot up 34 kilometres into the air. It was all water vapour, because the volcano where it erupted was very close to the surface. And they reckon that the temperature went down slightly across the world because of the sulfur, the ash and that covered the I think the troposphere. And they spoke about all of that and the water vapor that was up there. And very interesting. So where the ocean's going up in one area, it goes down in another. And it's, this is not determined by man. So when you look into all that, I'm quite floored how they can actually tell such big porkies. And I keep on researching, and I found all these porkies that they tell, and about moving people out of areas where they live all along the coastline of New Zealand as seas rise, and about an island in the Pacific that was said to be the new climate change refugees. And actually, that island is growing because of the fossils. And and the lies keep on coming across as corporate capture takes over the world. Follow the money, always follow the damn money. The lies that are being told. So that IPCC report was highly flawed when the Secretary Director General Guterres declared at the UN this year global boiling. Listen to James Shaw. Watch him telling you big lies. This is what's happening. And if you dig deeper into the research and you find the true scientists, the ones that have lost their jobs and been shut down, then you find out the truth. Corrupt liars. to control your life through crisis events. And now we have, what is it? I think there's about 15 countries in the world that are following this UN National Adaptation Plan that we have in New Zealand. This comes from the Kyoto Protocol. In 2015, they introduced it, same time as UN Agenda 2030, all wrapped up with Agenda 2030. Your transgender ideology in schools, all wrapped up in Agenda 2030, SDG 4. Climate change. It's been around for 4 billion years. It's been hotter than this before. And the seas have been higher than this before. And there was no coal being burned, and there was no motor vehicles on the roads. Come on, people. They're trying to scare you shitless so they can control you. Wake up, New Zealand. Stop watching the telly. Stop watching the news. Stop buying the newspapers. Stop feeding them. Because, that's how they get to you. And who pays for it? Who's controlling all of this? You got corporations and BlackRock, who's partnered with our government. And this is what's going on. Most of you know it, but more of you need to know it. Wake up, New Zealand.